I've been in consulting for 9 years now, helping my clients digitalize their sales processes. But the longer I'm in this business, the more I understand that to build a well-working sales system, software is not enough. You see, early in my career when I worked as a sales rep, my sales experience was a struggle. I worked with my parents' business, and despite their exceptional manufacturing skills and product quality, they lacked sales expertise and lacked a sustainable sales model. The first experience taught me that technical excellence alone doesn't guarantee business success. Even the best products need effective sales system behind them. I started looking for ways to make our products sell regularly and consistently. That's how I discovered that different markets have different structures, for example. I learned that manufacturers can't always sell directly. Sometimes distributors are needed, not simply because someone wants to make money as a middleman, but for a legitimate reasons. Often the manufacturer is geographically distant from where the product is sold, and local warranty services are needed. You need warehouses to service a large number of stores, and so on. I then discovered that sales are divided into different stages. There's the process of finding new clients, the process of convincing them, the process where you need to service client, post-sales services, warranty returns, and so on. I also learned that selling too much can be bad because production might not keep up. And on the other hand, selling too little is also bad because production facilities will sit idle, causing the company to lose money. I began to understand that sales isn't a separate process, but as an integral part of the entire business system. A small shift in sales process may lead to drastic changes in the core of the business model. But each time I went through a new iteration in my learning, I inevitably faced the fact that the volume of information about clients needed to be kept in my head or in notebook or somehow structured inevitably exceeded my intellectual capacities. At first, I thought I just wasn't experienced enough. Then I thought I wasn't smart enough. But at some point I realized the problem was actually different. The problem is that human being is physically unable to remember such a large amount of information, which is why tools were invented that allow us to store information and present it in a convenient form when it's needed. I discovered the existence of so-called CRM systems. At the same time, I discovered that it's a very interesting world that slowly began to absorb me. And at some point, it absorbed me so much that when I stopped working with my parents and moved on, continuing my career in sales and joining a large construction company, I began not only actively selling, but also implementing digital tools. I was bringing the entire department to unified standards, although wasn't formally even a manager. And then, at some point, when I was offered a promotion, I realized that my path wasn't actually in sales. My path was in digitalizing sales. Throughout my career, I worked with more than 40 different clients on over 50 different projects. That's a significant number, and I've seen truly successful projects like a driving school in Eastern Europe where we increased sales 3.5 times. I've also seen completely failed projects where my clients lost millions of dollars implementing software and receiving no return on their investment. Today, I want to share what makes up a successful, well-functioning, and effective sales system. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jeff Tiley, and I'm CRM consultant. On this channel, I talk about business automation, CRM systems, and anything around it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss my next videos, and hit like this video if you like what I'm doing. Oh, but before we continue, while I was recording this video, I forgot to mention one very important thing. Sponsor of today's video. If you need a helping hand with CRM implementation or just a pair of understanding ears, you know the game. Link in the description below. Before I begin, I need to emphasize something. An effective sales system cannot exist without a good offer. I'm not an expert in creating offers. I'm not a marketing consultant. I don't know how to create your offer. I understand what I understand, and it is digitalizing business process. This video is for those who understand what they are offering, and I assume you already have a good offer. Because if you don't, this entire sales machine I'm about to describe will just replicate your poor proposition. If you're losing money on sales or have poorly built, ineffective product or a bad offer, a sales system will multiply your expenses and replicate your problems. However, if your offer is good and you are confident in it, or it needs some minor modifications, yet it generally is good, then an effective sales system will multiply your results, because a good sales system is a mechanism that, as I've learned, is built on 4 fundamental elements. Let's talk about each of them. Now, the first element of the effective sales system, strangely enough, It's people and how they are organized or structured. First and foremost, great sales systems feature a well-designed structure. This structure typically consists of management and aligned staff. In businesses where client acquisition involves finding leads, cold calling, or cold emails, effective sales systems include what are called SDRs, or sales development representatives. These people are also called hunters. These SDRs typically pass qualified prospects along the chain to sales representatives, also known as closers. Further down the chain, once a deal is closed, successful system transfer clients to account managers or farmers. What I've just described is a generalization. Your business might not need SDRs. It all depends heavily on your specific business model. Perhaps you attract clients primarily through marketing. We'll talk about marketing later. But first and most important thing that exists in effective sales system, and what I always look for with my clients, is whether the company has a clear structure. Next, let's look at how top-performing companies manage their personnel. Great sales systems include strong management, skilled sales department leaders, and thoughtful people management. What does this mean in practice? It means that successful companies with well-built sales systems have excellent onboarding systems. So if an employee leaves and needs to be replaced, or when growth requires new hires, top companies efficiently bring people on board. They effectively train them on products, explain how everything works, how legal system is set up, and how to guide clients through each stage of business process. And just as effectively, their offboarding system work. When an employee leaves, they don't take the client base with them. I think you agree this is important. Third, high-performing sales organizations have streamlined recruitment process. They know how to hunt for good people, do this periodically, and have replacements ready for underperforming employees. That is, the staff evolves over time. Sales are like sports. As a rule, effective sales systems feature a small, healthy rotation so that underperformers move and strong performers join the team. Finally, I've observed that strong sales systems include well-thought-out compensation structures. When I see companies with poor offer, poorly thought-out sales who say they will give 20% of each deal to their salesperson, I understand that such a system will rarely work. A thoughtful compensation system aligns with the entire system. It motivates employees, encourages salespeople to sell more, and promotes good, healthy behavior. The best systems typically blend some fixed rate, performance bonuses, and deal incentives, and in very effective teams, additional bonuses for targeting especially profitable client segments or special motivation programs. For example, I encountered an impressive client acquisition program at one company. New hires would select 5 unassigned dream clients for management approval. Land any of these prospects with your first year, secure their initial payment, and you'd earn a €1,000 bonus regardless of the deal size. What made this effective was its elegant simplicity. It combined personal motivation with strategic targeting while preventing internal competition. So for 5 employees, that was 25 companies they were particularly interested in attracting, and people always thought, I have some contacts there, I have this, and I have that. It's a kind of additional motivation that works very well. The most effective sales departments have well-developed systems of compensation packages. The second integral part of great sales systems is well-established business process. So what are these business processes? First, they include a well-thought-out sales process, or so-called sales funnel. A strong sales funnel means that the company has clearly defined stages of sales: initial stages, middle stages, and final stages. They are well thought out, and at each of the stages, the next actions are clearly defined. These actions are tracked, and each subsequent stage of the sales funnel increases the probability of closing the deal or acquiring the customer. I talked about this in a separate video. I have video on the topic of sales funnels. Be sure to watch it if you haven't seen it yet. I'll put a link somewhere here. Effective organizations typically have a funnel for attracting clients, a funnel for selling to these attractive customers, and a funnel for nurturing existing client base. Again, I'm speaking very generally now. In very general terms, business models differ. Things can be set up differently. For example, in a driving school, by definition, there can't be any permanent client base because people get their driving licenses and leave, and repeat deals just don't happen. This is an exception, not the rule. There are businesses where attracting a new client can take years, literally, and the entire business is built on existing clients. It doesn't matter. What matters is that there is a system, that there is a process, a well thought out, reality tested process, not one that is made up in an office, but hard-earned process where it's clear what stage each client is at, what needs to be done with them, and who is responsible for the customer. That's what makes a good sales funnel. Secondly, great sales organizations have in one form or another what we call sales scripts or methodologies. This doesn't mean having prepared text for each call. It means having a general sales approach, how meetings are conducted, how sales are happening. Successful companies understand that different sales approaches exist. Like, for example, spin technique works well where several types of questions are asked and the client essentially sells to themselves. It's something like consultative selling. There are types of sales where it's best not to interfere with the client at all, and a person shouldn't be involved in the process at all. For example, transactional sales, when office supplies are sold, and often self-service portal is completely enough. No one wants to talk to a manager when buying paper clips and so on. That is, effective sales system include sales scenarios that are thoughtfully designed, clearly articulated, and aligned with the product and market in which the company operates. Finally, high-performing companies have SOPs, standard operating procedures. These are standards of operational activity where employees clearly understand how to issue an invoice, who is responsible for preparing a contract, how to make a commercial offer, how to create a quote, who to coordinate prices with, and so on. This clarity is essential. How many times have I seen when I come to a company, a new employee comes in, everything seems fine, but the employee can't even tell the client in a conversation what the next step is because they just don't understand what the next step is. Because they understand that somewhere now they need to issue a proposal to the client, but they have no idea how it's done. They don't have this knowledge in their mind, which makes it very noticeable in the conversation with the customer. And the next step is assigned very sluggishly, ambiguously, and in the long run, let's say when there are many similar problems, it has a cumulative effect. Yes, if say the deal is large and the client is really understanding, maybe in some specific case it won't play a big role, but in the long run, when there are large number of deals and large number of clients and no well thought out SOPs for the administrative part of sales, this will start to lose clients. In successful sales systems, marketing works in harmony with sales. Marketing is an integral part of the sales system. No matter what anyone says, the most effective organizations treat marketing and sales deeply interconnected. I see this in few places, but in those companies where it works successfully, marketing and sales are practically the same thing, or they at least work very closely together. Strong marketing operations include lead generation. If you are engaging in high-ticket sales or expensive sales, or you are engaged in B2B, effective marketing focuses on attraction. If you are in e-commerce or in trade where decisions are made quickly, the approach differs, of course. If your business finds clients through cold calls or outreach, successful systems include an SDR, sales development representatives. If you're looking for clients through advertising, effective systems have well-designed advertising campaigns. In other words, great sales systems feature a comprehensive client attraction strategy. They include good support materials, collateral materials that are professionally prepared, visually appealing, and consistent with the company's unified style. I won't talk about branding because branding is also an integral part of marketing, branding, and positioning. Great companies invest in this area. I'm not saying this is the most important thing. It's 5%, but everything I'm talking about today is 5%. All 5% of a big system. I can't tell you what's more important than what. It's all important. It all has absolutely equal right to exist. Somewhere something has just a bigger weight of, say, 7 to 10%, something has a weight of 5 to 3%, but it all somehow has weight. How many times have I seen when an expensive product is sold, a good, really high-quality engineering solution, beautiful, but with horrible accompanying materials, terrible collateral, which simply don't inspire trust? Today, it's very easy to improve this. There are many freelancers who will gladly create designs and think through your brand for a very reasonable rate. You can find talented people on Fiverr or Upwork who will help with this. Next, if your business needs advertising, if your business depends on content, effective systems include regular content marketing, publishing articles and valuable content on a consistent schedule. If this isn't happening, opportunities are being missed. And finally, an integral part of high-performing sales system is software. Today, companies aren't competitive without software. Software without everything I have already said is meaningless, but everything I've said up to this point is equally insufficient without proper software. For marketing, great systems have analytics in place. For sales, they include a CRM system. First of all, companies engaged in cold calling benefit tremendously from VoIP integration synchronized with their CRM system. By the way, I'll put a link to the video about VoIP somewhere here. You might wonder why VoIP matters so much. It's about visibility and control, so that organization understand what's happening with their activity, how many calls are being made, what type of calls, and what conversations are happening. And most importantly, today, with the help of AI, each call can be turned into text. This allows analysis without listening to each call. It's not about tracking each individual person. It's about understanding how the department is performing overall, how calls are happening. Again, if calls are part of your sales process. Successful systems include comprehensive reports tracking acquisition, sales, and retention. In other words, lead reports, opportunity reports, and account reports. These are typically set up in CRM system. For all these reports, effective organizations build informative dashboards. These dashboards include various sliders and graphs that signal whether everything is functioning properly across all parts of sales and marketing. Are there enough leads? Is the conversion of leads to deals strong? Is the lead to cash conversion rate healthy? Is everything running smoothly with quote preparation? How many deals are lost and for what reasons? Top-performing organizations actively track all that. This isn't something you set up once and occasionally glance at it. No, this represents regular, consistent work, continuously developing new metrics, creating new reports, and constantly investigating questions. The most effective CRM implementations track at least 4 key fields. They monitor deal by status, by amount or by quantity, depending on the business model, to effectively close deals and forecast sales while tracking missed opportunities. Successful systems track both status and probability of closing the deal. I have a separate video on sales forecasting that I recommend watching, but tracking these elements is fundamental to any strong sales system. And finally, top-performing sales organizations implement workflow automation. Critical processes that happen most frequently, such as preparing commercial offers, issuing quotes, sending reminder emails, managing mailings, and any other actions critical to the business are automated. Again, extremes aren't necessary here. You don't need to automate everything. Just focus on the minimum automation needed to achieve maximum return on investment. These 4 things represent a minimum effective program. In great sales systems, CRM systems always contain up-to-date information with robust security settings, allowing administrators to manage employee access appropriately. They're designed so that not all employees see all contacts or accounts, preventing database theft when someone leaves the company. This foundation is what makes a good, effective sales system. Write me in the comments down below whether you agree with me or not, and what else I missed in this video. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video if you like what I do, and don't forget that you can always hire me if you need help implementing CRM in your business. The link to my company website is in the description below. On that note, thanks for watching. Peace.